Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Good evening. Thank you for joining. I think we would give ourselves a few more minutes for more people to join. We have quite a number of members on the page, and it's only 15 of us currently on the call. This is an important meeting which we are expecting and hoping that a majority of the group are able to participate. So kindly bear with us as we give ourselves at least the next 3 minutes for more people to join. If you know anybody who is not yet on the call to, we humbly ask that you remind them, give them a call. Could be your colleague at work, kindly prompt them so that they can join in and then we can finish in on time. Thank you very much. My name is Pel Salome, and I'll be moderating today's session with Joseph, our secretary. Thank you once again for joining me.
Come on back when you're ready to know you are always welcome home, welcome home. You've been kept on for much too long. Stand up, please, and say I am free. Don't forget, you are always welcome home. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. I will be happy again. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. I will be happy again. You've been gone, it's an empty home. Come on back when you're ready to know you are always welcome home, welcome home. You've been kept on for much too long. Stand up free and say I am free. Don't forget, you are always welcome home. Come with me on this happy trip back to the promised land. I will be happy again. Come with me on this happy Welcome home. Welcome home. Welcome home.
On this note, good afternoon, distinguished colleagues and members of the Ghana Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. Welcome to today's CPD. And I'm very excited to be moderating today's CPD with Pearl. And today it's like a family meeting for the dietetics group of Gand. So I would like to take this special opportunity to once again welcome you. And you'd also have to be aware that we are live on Zoom and streaming on the YouTube for broader access. Can you please mute your mics, please? All right, so today we will have a very detailed engagement with our chair of the dietetics group and all members of the Gand governing board, who will help us to unpack, the current business agenda and provide direction for the way forward. As your moderator, I'll be guiding us through the session with Pearl to ensure that we have a smooth flow and a productive discussion as a collective engagement. So on this note, I would like to invite Ms. Alizia Ba to give us an opening prayer to set the ball rolling. Alice, over. Alice, please, can you hear me?
Joseph, I think she's saying she's unable to unmute. If you can if you can help unmute her for us so that she would share a word of prayer for us to start. Okay, so Julius is saying we can hear you, but participants are unable to unmute themselves. I think it's the system has been designed that way to help us have some reduce the background sounds that we may be getting and feedbacks we may be getting. So I think she's been unmuted now. She
Thank
can
you,
go
Alice.
ahead.
Please give us opening prayer.
All right, thank you very much. So, our Heavenly Father, we are so grateful unto you for such a wonderful day. Thank you so much for bringing us together, even as covenant. We commit today's session into your hands and we pray that you will lead our facilitators, resource person, and we will be enlightened and have a successful session. We pray for a smooth connection for all participants. At the end of the day, Lord, we return with me to ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
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 Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us for this very important session under the CPD category C. We are honored to now hear from Dr. Frank Hayford, who is the chair of the dietetics group. Dr. Ayford will give us a detailed insight into the strategic overview presented last week by our president, Reverend Prince Beidou, and break it down into practical implications and action points for our professional community. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Frank Hayford. Dr. Hayford, over.
Yes, so thank you very much. Good evening, colleagues. Unfortunately, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So kindly prompt me just in case my my voice goes down, or in case you cannot see me. I think I have some issues with my laptop. Sometimes my camera just goes off unannounced. So good evening, colleagues. And it's always a pleasure to have the opportunity to share with you. First of all, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the Gand Governing Board. I think I can also see a couple of our the Gand Advisory Council members and senior colleagues who are both in academia, the ministry, research, and all of you. I would want to acknowledge your presence. And it's always exciting to have the opportunity to discuss issues concerning our beloved association, our beloved society. I'm using the word beloved because we are Gand. We actually make Gand. Gand is us, and we are Gand. And I know for today's meeting in particular, it's supposed to be a business meeting. I would, as much as possible, try to make have a sort of semi-formal conversation, all in an attempt to sort of drive this organization to the heights that we all want. And so by way of agenda, and I'm going to try as much as possible to go through this quickly so that we can have actually more time to look at or talk about matters arising from this recap of the strategic plan. So we'll be recapping the strategic plan with specific emphasis for us as dietitians or the dietetic profession within the bigger Gand plan. And also, hopefully, I would like to give some updates on the survey. We sent out a survey, I think earlier on in the year, I think somewhere February, to collect information of dietitians and also facilities who have dietitians or do not have dietitians across the country. And then, of course, we'll talk about any other matters that we think is of interest. For the overall goal is that whatever we are going to discuss here at the end of the day would help to drive this organization to the heights that we want. And I'm very sure that you are aware we are also new executives who have been inducted. So your suggestions, your wisdom, your guidance are all welcome. So without wasting much time, I think we would move straight and then sort of let us know in terms of what our strategic plans for the dietetic group is within the bigger framework of Gand's strategic plan for our tenure. And I have actually titled it Building Relevant, Effective, and Efficient Dietetic Professionals Fit to Work not only in Ghana, but also in the sub-region and anywhere in the world. And that is our aim, that as dietitians trained in Ghana, at the end of our practice, our training and experience, and at the end of our training, we should be fit to work anywhere. We should be relevant everywhere, not only in Ghana, even in the sub-region and then the world. So how am I going to present this? As I said, I'm going to present this, aligning it to the presentation that the president of Gand actually did. Looking at the bigger strategy, which is to pioneer collaborations, to permeate new territories, to populate, to prosper, and also to position Gand in the next 3 years. And I have put this word down, the all hands on deck. And we would actually get to know why I said all hands on deck. If you look at this strategic plan, we would get to know that we cannot do it by ourselves, and that we would need all of you to be able to achieve this for a want of a better word, these very audacious strategic plan that we have for the organization of the society. So in terms of the strategic plan for the dietetic profession, this is what we are looking at. So we're looking at areas like education, accreditation, and curriculum enhancement, because I mean, you would all agree with me that to become a professional in the first place, the training plays a very important role, how we are trained. Of course, over the years, we've also been talking about people who are not well-trained or qualified or accredited, or I mean, people who are not well-trained and institutions that are not accredited, training so-called dietitians. At the end of the day, we all know what the consequences are. So as part of our strategic plan, it's one of the areas we'd focus on, and of course, curriculum enhancement. We know what is happening in the world. Things are changing. Research is changing. Education is changing. So one of our strategic plan is to make sure that we are abreast, as professionals, when it comes to new things that are happening in the world, in our area of practice, that we will be able to learn. Of course, one of the areas we would also want to focus on is interdisciplinary integration. We for a very long time, I believe that it is one area that we haven't really paid attention to. It appears that a lot of us as health professionals, even though we learn in school that we are key members of the interdisciplinary team when it comes to health, when it comes to even policy, when it comes to public health, it appears that we still are working in silos. So what are the strategic plans we would want to adopt to be able to make ourselves more visible, make ourselves more attractive, and also be able to integrate with other health professionals of mutual interest? And then again, one area we would also want to really focus on is our clinical experiences, continuous education through the CPDs that we have been having, and more important, also to foster inclusivity and diversity in what we do. And then again, look at area of pioneering. What are some of the areas we think as Gand? We can't be the leaders in pioneering certain things, not only in Ghana, but even across the continent. So let's look at the detailed strategic plan. As I said, this have been realigned to the main Gand vision. So to populate, I remember last week, the president talked about growing Gand from the current membership of about 300 to 1,500 the next 3 years. In terms of the dietetic profession, what are our objectives for that? And realigning our objective to this particular objective. What we intend to do is to foster inclusiveness, also inclusiveness, diversity, equity, and of course, access within our profession. And in doing this, we would be guided by the core values and then principles of Gand, okay, especially within the Ghanaian context. And what we intend to do is to mobilize all cadres, right, within the dietetic practice. And what do I mean by all cadres? We know that now we have training institutions, for instance, that are teaching diet technicians. that are teaching diet cooks. And we feel that these are very important cadres who we think we can work. I mean, we know from our training that these are very important cadres when it comes to dietetic practice, that we think that we can work together. We also know that there is always unity in numbers, or when we have large numbers, we do have a lot of say. And what are some of the action plans, for instance, we are going to adopt to be able to meet this objective, to mobilize cadres within the dietetic profession, such as diet technicians and cook, using social media. So what we are actually in the process of doing is to be able to mobilize all these groups, on various platforms. And we think that it is much easier when they are mobilized as a group on a platform, so that once we're able to mobilize them, then we can then transfer them onto the appropriate group and then work together. The same vein, and I would credit my predecessor, for starting this initiative, mobilizing dietetic interns on various platforms in readiness to migrate them onto the main Gand platform once they pass their exams. In fact, not just the interns, but even the graduates who are preparing, or of course, who have even written their exams. Okay. They've been mobilized on the platform, and it makes it much more easier to assist them in any way that they need in preparation for their licential exams. And once they pass, we're able to migrate them onto the platform. And in terms of the timeline, it is one of our short-term goals that we are hoping that by the end of the first quarter, for instance, we would have migrated those who have passed and they are licential and are dietitians or are registered dietitians. Then in terms of positioning ourselves, the main goal is to systematically create world-class dietetic professionals, okay, leading to the attainment of the prestigious use of the name dietitian, okay, and thereby creating a niche for dietetic practice in Ghana, the sub-region, and then the world. So how do we intend to achieve that, as dietetic professionals? Is to foster collaborations between the nutrition and dietetic program and other health-related disciplines. So one of the things we would want to do also to monitor, foster a very healthy relationship, between, our health-related discipline, and then, of course, the institutions that also govern us. So this would actually enhance the professional understanding of holistic health. We believe that when we foster a very good collaboration, with our other health institutions, our sister or brother health institutions, like the Nursing and Midwife Council, the Ghana Medical Association, and then, of course, our professional body, other allied health professional body. What then happens is that they get to know what we do. Okay, they get to appreciate what we do more. And so the action plan is, one of the action plan in terms of making sure that our professions, our professionals are trained well, is to monitor some of the accreditation process and standard of training of dietitians. Fortunately, we have some of our members leading accreditation processes, across. And one of the things we would want to do is to encourage them to make sure that as they go out there to monitor, to see what health training institutions are doing, for instance, they would be able to align whatever they see to the overall goal of what Gand want to see as a professional. So those are some of the actions we want to take And of course, also to collaborate with regional health directorates of institutions such as Ghana Health Service and the Ministry of Health. Of course, the collaboration here specifically would be the programs they have, which is of interest. So, for instance, we know across the country, the Ministry of Health and the Ghana Health Service, for instance, they have quite a lot of programs at the district level, right, at the regional levels. We think that it would be very useful for us to identify some of these programs. And it would interest you to know that a lot of these programs, a lot of them, I would say more than 50% of them are really related to nutrition and dietetics. They do a lot of vitamin A supplementation, they do health weeks, they observe these health weeks. Of course, they have the platform, they are supported by government machineries. And we seriously believe, as a governing board, that we can take the opportunity to collaborate with some of these people to also increase our visibility. Of course, we also intend to reach out to other health professionals, as I said, like the Ghana Medical Association, or the Ghana Medical and Dental Association, the Nurses and Midwifery Council. Of course, every year they do also organize some programs. Specifically, we will be looking out for programs of interest, programs that they have that we can play a very important role of. So I'm happy to tell you, for instance, last year, the Ghana Medical Association, specifically the Physician Association of Ghana, the physicians, they actually invited me to one of their CPDs, to talk about medical nutrition management, especially when it comes to sportsmen and recovery. And I was very happy because I thought that it was a very good platform, an opportunity to sell Gand and what we do. So when they introduced me as a dietitian. So I think that these are some of the things we can position ourselves well to be able to, leverage, for visibility. So in terms of prospering, what is the strategy? Is to work to secure the sole right to opening and operating practice centers of dietetics and nutrition, and of course, health shop, and also to make Gand attractive in the sub-region and the world, to increase our employment prospects. And I think this is one very key thing that we think if we really get it right, it will not just benefit the society, but it would actually make us marketable, very marketable. So currently, even though it is not a pleasant thing to say, we all know that quite a lot of our colleagues, audits have actually been accredited by countries outside to practice. The last time I checked, in some countries, they didn't even have to write exams, but then their experience and then the training that they had, was good enough for them to be certified in other countries to practice. So for us, we think that we have the opportunity to, again, collaborate with accrediting institutions. And that is one of the ways we can do. Once we ensure from the society's point of view, ensuring that the institutions that are training dietitians, are training dietitians to the standard of a world-class dietitian, I think that we can be making a lot of headways, because at the end of the day, when we are making very good and useful input into, what we think, a dietitian in terms of the competencies that they're supposed to meet to be able to practice as a world-class dietitian, not only in Ghana, but the sub-region and in the world. If we are able to make very useful input through our members who happen to, as I said, to be part of these accrediting bodies, we think that would go a long way to help the association. Of course, we will do this through the documenting feedbacks from members of Gand who are part of, for instance, Allied Health Professional Council accreditation boards. And that would actually help Gand to monitor the training of future dietitians. And then, of course, advocating for CPDs that are profession specific, okay, and also to allow more practical hands-on, hands-on CPDs. And this is one thing that for me is very close to my heart, that we are able to get to the point where our CPDs throughout the year would be relevant to us as dietitians. This is not to say that our CPDs over the years have not, but of course there is always room for improvement. Looking for innovative ways, or coming up with CPDs that are very practical and hands-on. So I think somewhere last week or last 2 weeks, for instance, we had such a session at the University of Ghana Medical Center, where we looked at the parenteral feeds. So more of such CPDs, which we think, or I think, would be much more relevant to us as dietitians who are practicing. So in terms of the timelines, we're looking at the next 3 years, being able to organize more of such CPDs so that our constituents, especially those who are practicing, or of course, those who are also practicing in other fields, which we are looking at, hoping that we would achieve, would find these CPDs very relevant and fit for purpose. And again, when it comes to the pioneering, I think last week our president told us that we are in the process to lead in the formation of Alliance for Dietetic Practitioners in Africa. Already, we are members of the International Union of Nutritional Sciences and also have registered with the ICDA. So we are hoping that, and in fact, I wouldn't say we are hoping, we are already playing very active role when it comes to the IUNS. So I am glad, for instance, to inform you that quite a number of our members from Gand, reviewed abstracts for the upcoming IUNS in Paris. And for me, I think that recognizing our members, their capability and the capacity to do that, is very good, and it's sort of also enhancing our reputation. And as the president also said, we are in the last stage of bidding to host the IUNS in 2029. And in terms of the objective, how we are going to be the lead in driving the formation of Alliance for Dietetic Practitioners in Africa, one of the strategies we want to do within the next 2 to 3 years is to conduct a survey on the state of nutrition and dietetic practice across the African continent. And in doing that, we would have a very clear idea what the state of dietetic practice is. Some few years ago, I had the opportunity to talk to people from different countries during the African Nutrition Leadership Program. And that was about 3-4 years ago. And I was quite amazed that a lot of countries in the southern part of Africa, Southern Africa, actually did not have dietetic training institution, and they had very few dietitians. It appeared that Ghana has really, really made giant stride in training dietitians, for the past 20 years. So in terms of the timeline, this is a medium to long-term goal. Hopefully by the 3rd year, we would have a very solid engagement with our brothers and sisters in other countries who are dietitians. Then in terms of, our goal to permeate, to gain new grounds, so Gand to gain new grounds in the industry, Ministry of Education, and other big organizations, we intend to increase our visibility through various stakeholder events and collaborations. Already, the recent front of pack label warning policy drive that Gand was involved with Send Ghana. It was such a good platform, to be able to gain more ground, to make us more visible, within the industry, within the policy, within NGO and training institution. So what we also intend to do is to collaborate with other organizations to organize more workshops, short courses, seminars, symposiums. Of course, last year, as you are all aware, we hosted the African Nutrition Society in the organization of the African Nutrition Conference. And these are some of the ways we think that we can increase our visibility within these stakeholders. And then again, the strategy, I know we are already doing it in our own small corner, and actively celebrating or marking notable global events or days. World Kidney Day, World Hypertension Day, we have been actively doing that. We think that we need to take it to another notch. I know over the years, during the tenure of the last governing board, they did so well, by appearing on the media, for instance, and doing a lot of things via the social media. I think that this is something that we definitely think is a good thing for us to continue and even take it up, a higher notch. And on that note, we would appreciate innovative ideas from members as to how we can make ourselves more visible through some of these days. Celebrating some of these activities. From everything that I've said, we can see that, and of course, the bigger strategic plan that was presented by the president, we can really see that we have a Herculean task ahead of us, and a very huge task. And this is why I mentioned that we really need all hands on deck. And we believe that we can achieve this plan or this vision if we create special interest or working groups. And that is one of the ways we are going to strategize to achieve this. So in doing that, I would like to inform you ahead that I will be reaching out to some of you all. When we throw something out there, we would really encourage you to volunteer, to join this special interest group or this working group, depending on what we are looking at. We also believe that we can achieve some of these goals by forming special committees, and of course, by you and I volunteering. In fact, during my tenure as a chair, that is one of the things that I would want to advocate for. A lot of times, I know we are all busy, with our individual, professional tasks and stuff, but I think that it's about time, our spirit of volunteerism, is made more visible. So I would really encourage that when we call out for people to volunteer, to be in order to be able to achieve some of these goals, I am really pleading that you make yourself available to be able to help. So talking about the formation of the interest group, we have some ideas that I would want to share briefly with us. And this, of course, would be subject to more ideas from you, and of course would also be subject to the approval of the Gand governing board. When it comes to dietetic interest group for Ghana, we know that Ghana faces a unique nutritional challenge, and as such, we are proposing a structure for a dietetic interest group based on international models and our local needs. And in coming up with this model, we looked at certain models internationally, the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics. We looked at some of what they have done in terms of the offer for dietetic practice. and group in specialized areas. We also looked at the British Dietetic Association, in terms of what they have when we talk about special interest group. And then we also looked at one for Association for Dietetics, Association for Dietetics in South Africa. So whatever we are proposing is actually based on that. And of course, in terms of our nutritional challenge, I mean, we all know these statistics even more than myself, what our current nutritional challenges are when it comes to issues of maternal and infant nutrition, when it comes to the rising NCDs problem. So based on that, we are proposing that we have specific interest group in maternal, infant, and young child nutrition, where they can look at issues of breastfeeding support, maternal nutrition, complementary feeding practices, among others. Of course, this is not exhaustive, but this is just to give an idea what we have in mind, and hopefully would expect that we can also come up with more. Then, of course, an interest group that would focus on clinical nutrition and hospital dietetics, looking at medical nutrition therapy, some of the best practices across patient population, looking at professional networking. It's very, very important that we build and establish this professional networking. Also, the standardization is also something that I think we've been talking about, and the president talked about it. The nutritional assessment based on our population. How do we standardize those? And of course, looking at specialized feeding techniques. We started some presentation last week on this. We are hoping that we could have a specific interest group that would focus on developing standards when it comes to this. We also are looking at the rising chronic disease and NCD epidemic. We also thought that an interest group looking at chronic disease and NCD nutrition would also be very useful. And as dietitians, I think that we are also specially trained. Our training is very peculiar. Even though we are trained as clinicians, our training also really prepares us to work as public health and community dietitians. And Professor Ai, we're very passionate about this. Dietitians, we can also work in the community. So looking at issues of school feeding, looking at grassroots nutrition, nutrition awareness campaign, and of course, policy advocacy. Of course, that is also the reason why Gand was partnered in the recent front of package label warning policy drive. And also to look at the food system and food services. I think this is also one area that I think we can really develop. And of course, all these areas, as we develop it, as we have special interest group and develop it, it also creates job opportunities for us. That is the beauty of it. So that is why we think that a specific interest group would be very useful. And then research and education. Of course, we know some of dietitians on the platform are also in academia and are into research. How do we collaborate, to generate evidence? Okay. And of course, also to come up with practice guidelines and of course, professional development through our CPD education. So we think a specific interest group in this nature would really work well with Dr. Pierre's committee. And then, so these are some of the interest group we have proposed. Okay. In terms of the implementation strategy, we are hoping that once this is approved, of course, with more suggestions from you, the members, we can create an initial small group with leaders, and then we expand it with time. And hopefully, this core team would also co-opt more of the members who may be interested in that area of specialty. In terms of the way forward and the prospects, when it comes to this interest group, we are thinking that this could actually form the basis for dietetic specialization in the future. We've been talking about in the future specializing. And we feel that this could be a baby step into organizing ourselves in these specific interest groups, so that when the time comes, we definitely would have had people who have developed special interest in different aspects of dietetics, and they can then, of course, easily move into specializing in that area. But of course, we cannot do that without, first of all, seeking for more suggestions. Okay? In fact, we are open to more suggestions and more inclusions. So what we plan to do is, after this presentation, we'll send out a survey for members to vote on the proposed interest group, and also to offer suggestions for modification or the inclusion of other groups. Of course, before this comes to force, we definitely have to seek approval from the leadership, and this would be after the Gand Governing Board have actually approved. And as I said, in terms of future prospects, I believe that this would form a basis for dietetic specialization. In conclusion, just to conclude, my presentation, I believe that together we are able to navigate the complexity of our ever-changing world, and when it comes to nutrition and dietetics, and also to inspire a positive impact in the field of dietetic training and practice in Ghana. I would like to acknowledge RD Eric Anku. I must say that he started discussing that idea of why not us forming specific interest group. And I must also say that he did a lot of research, or he did a research concerning what the best practices are. So I would like to acknowledge that, and also say thank you to him. And thank you very much for listening. Over to you, Mr. Moderator, Madam Moderator. Thank you. Hello, over to you, Pearl. And JB, can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Hayford, for such an insightful presentation. I believe the members would have a lot of questions regarding everything you shared. And on behalf of the president and the entire GB, we are also very willing to listen to all your thoughts and opinion in order to shape our professional body to the best it can be. At this point, we would have a discussion with all of you. If you have anything on your mind, any questions, any suggestions, it's an open forum. So please share everything you have on your mind, and let's deliberate this together. Once you draw my attention by raising your hand on the Zoom platform, I would call you, and then you let know your submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hayford. If you have any questions or any suggestions, once you raise your hand, we'll call you to speak. This is a family meeting, and together we make it better. So kindly don't keep your ideas in your head. Just share ideas together so that we can move our profession forward to the world best class that we want it to be. You can also put your suggestions or questions in the chat box. We'll read it out for you as the program goes along. Julius, your hand is up. Kindly go ahead. Host, kindly help Julius to unmute, aka Sugar. His hand is up.
Okay, thank you very much. And thanks for the opportunity and good afternoon to everyone. Dr. Hayford, thank you for the insightful presentation. I want to find out, you said there was a survey earlier this year to find out how many dietitians are in each facility and which facilities don't have dietitians. So I'm wondering how Gand is going to use that information to the benefit of the people who are not employed or may want to change where they are working. Maybe you said it, but I'm not sure I picked it up. Then secondly, one of the things that I noticed is the fact that sometimes you meet a dietitian in Kolebu doing one thing and then you move to another facility like maybe Reach and it's a different thing. So I don't know, is Gand in a position to facilitate inter institution fellowships, or let's say maybe somebody coming to spend 2 weeks in UGMC or people from UGMC going to spend 2 weeks in another facility just to show that we have a way of learning. I mean, aside the CPDs, we have a way of learning among ourselves so that our practices will become more uniform as we go along. Thank you, and over.
So thank you very much, Evans. And maybe I'll start with the survey that we started. We sent out there somewhere in February. So yes, we've had very good feedback in terms of quite a lot of our members, completed a survey, especially those that were not employed. In fact, the information we got was also very rich in terms of facilities across the country where there is a need to have a dietitian there, but there were no dietitians. What we, as governing council sought to do was to be proactive. You know that a new government took over in January. And usually when the new government take over, there are quite a lot of things that they do. And, in order to get ourselves ready, we thought that proactively it would be very useful to position ourselves in a way that as we lobby, to get dietitians who are still in the system and are not being posted to any facilities, once there's clearance, we would have been ready, with our list. So that is what actually informed us collecting those the data, information in readiness, that once there's an opportunity, we can readily make this list available. We definitely would know those who are in the system who have not been employed. Behind the scenes, we're also doing our lobbying. Over the years, the chief dietitian at the Ghana Health Service, I've been working tirelessly to over the years, lobby to get, dietitian posted across the country. And we've actually been working in collaboration with her, to generate current, to have an idea about current members who are in the system and have not been employed. So what I just want to tell you is that, yes, we have that data ready. We are doing our lobbying at the background through some individuals who are very passionate about dietetic practice in Ghana. And hopefully, once we get a green light, we will be ready to submit those names. So that is the update on that. I don't know if my colleagues have anything. Presido, there's any other thing you would like to add, I'll be happy to do that. And in terms of the second question, in terms of harmonizing our practice, if you listen carefully, it's one of our strategies, our medium to long-term strategies that we are hoping that we'll be able to harmonize our practice, our dietetic practice, so that irrespective of which facility, it would all be speaking with the same voice, especially, for instance, when it comes to documentation. I think it is one area that some time back when we had a retreat, we talked about, that it is one area that unfortunately, it doesn't appear that there is harmonization in terms of how we do our nutrition assessment documentation. Okay. So this is something that is very dear to us, and we'll be working towards, harmonizing. We'll be very happy to listen to innovative ideas from you as members as to how you think we can go about that. So that is what I would say about that for now. So thank you very much. So over to you, Madam Moderator, Mr. Moderator.
Thank you, Dr. Hayford. Mr. President's hand is up. Mr. President, you're welcome. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Awesome delivery, Honorable Chair of Dietetics. And I would want to say hi to all the governing board members on the call, and also the senior practitioners. I see Professor Asante here, and Auntie Julie. I want to salute all of you and all our dear colleagues. God bless you, and thank you for joining. Chair, I think it's a little to add to the list that went around. It's purely a list for lobbying to get more slots for ourselves. You know that right now, allied health professionals are gearing up for to draw the government attention to the numbers, over 30,000 of us who are not employed. So all of us are doing our best from our various ends. So the various professionals are pushing from the various ends to ensure that our request is heeded to, and our teaming members get work to do. Yes. And I think, as Chair said, the information we got have opened our eyes to a lot of other things that as an academy we have to look at the numbers as the across the country, where the people work, the numbers, whether they are sufficient or not. And it comes back to the standards we spoke about last week. The standardization is wide. So the standards, as in, if we come to the hospital setting, how many people will one dietitian, or what will be the standard of patient bed per dietitian? So that if you have a place that the bed size is 500 and we have only one dietitian or two dietitians, then we can compare with the standards to know that, we are overworking or underworking. So when we spoke of standards, and we made a passionate plea that all of us should put our hands on deck to contribute to formulating our standards. It's not only the serving sizes and the exchange list that we are coming to form, but the standards operation document, we only have one. We have about 4 more to prepare. And just today, I saw somebody asking someone casually, what is the energy value of the 1 pack of achumbo that he was chewing, and the person was just laughing because there's nothing there. There's no standards there to judge by. So please, I want to make a passionate plea that when we start the fundraising and when we start pushing it on the pages, let's please contribute from our heart. Those working and those not working. Any little money you get, let's push it inside. Because if we have 7 sizes for our traditional foods, and we say we are Ghanaian dietitian and pushing our local foods, which we cannot even quantify, then we are just shooting ourselves in the foot. So please, this is a plea I will give when it comes to the standardization. Let's do our best to have the standards so we can be free and we will not feel embarrassed in the consulting room when people come and say, so can I eat achumbo? Can I eat agbolekaku? And you don't know what to do because you don't know how you fit it into the person's meal plan. Very, very crucial for us. So dietitians, I want to encourage you and push you to do your part as part of the entire Gand body to contribute your quota as we push to standardizing our practice, dietetics and nutrition practice in Ghana. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. President. Please, anyone else with a question or suggestion, kindly
Yes, I think I can
unmute.
see, Madam Moderator, I can see Auntie Julie's hand, Juliana Abraham,
Okay.
Chief Dietitian's
Auntie
hand.
Julie, please
Yes.
go ahead. Auntie Julie, please, if you can hear us, kindly unmute and share your submissions. Thank you. Oh, whilst we try to get her unmuted, if anybody else is ready, please go
Yeah.
ahead.
Hello,
Whilst we
Pearl.
get. Yes, please.
I think there's if the host does not ask us to unmute, we are not able to unmute. So
Okay.
if that could be checked, because I think Auntie Julie wants to speak, but she cannot unmute
Unmute.
unless you give the signal. So if we can have a general, you can take the button off so everybody can unmute. That will be fine.
Okay, the technical team is in copy of this. We try to do that just so that we keep the background noise and sounds that we usually get that disrupts the meeting. But I guess we would have to unmute everybody, like give everybody the chance to unmute when they have to. So Auntie Julie, please, you can go
Hello.
ahead. Yes, please.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
Please, when we talk about Ministry of Health, it comprises Ghana Health Service, the teaching hospital, the Christian Health Association, that is TAG, then the Quasar Government Institution. The Quasar Government Institution is a university hospital. So as Dr. Hafer was talking, he left the Ghana Health Service, the Christian Health Service, and he was also always talking about Ghana Health Service, Ghana Health Service. If you look at the practice of dietitians and nutritionists, I don't know whether you have the statistics, but if you check, you realize that the teaching hospital, the Quasar hospital, and the Christian hospital, you are doing much better in terms of enrolling people as dietitians and nutritionists at facilities as compared to the Ghana Health Service. So let's look at the stats again and see where we are performing and where we are not performing. If you are not performing anywhere, you alert the people there. It is a matter of liaising with us to know where people are not getting employment. Because sometimes our people association can lobby. And then when they come and they post them there, we ourselves in the institution will say that there's no vacancy. You have not heard about this before. People said that they say that there's no vacancy, and then it demoralizes them. That is one thing that I want to say. We should sit down, as Dr. Bedu was saying, that the facility, the number, and then the total number of the dietitians that can work there. So if you look at Kolebu, we lobby with total number per patient, per dietitian. So there are some facilities that can employ more, but then they will say that they don't have the facility. Let's also look at the people in our facilities, the facility institutional structures. What is the structure for the institution? So I think there should be an engagement between us. I'm talking from the clinical part, and then the association to know what is our problem that we are not recruiting. That is one. Another thing that I want to say is that Mr. Julius or Dr. Julius, I'm calling everybody doctor. There is everybody be doctor. Dr. Julius said that when they come to Kolebu, what we train them is quite different from what the institution has where they are trained them. We have come out with a structure that for internship, that is 1 year and about, you do 12 month rotation. It is because we have 12 main departments where dietitians are. We have 5 for nutritionists, so dietitians are 12. You do 12 rotations. So for the 1 month or for the 1 year, you do all the rotations in Kolebu. And then if you are interested in nutrition, then you do 5 in addition or attached to it. Then sometimes the internship training is not the internship. The student training is based on their objectives. So if they can come to Kolebu and then we are training them in something else, that's the objective specified for us to train them. So we train them based on objectives from the university. But for the internship, we do 1 year, 12 months, every department we go. And then we should also look at my third point that I'll end is that we should look at the institutional policy, which is very important to us. Every institution and the way they employ, the way they train their people, and the way they want people to behave. So we will sit down with Gand. It's not Gand come and tell the institution that do this and do that, because they consult us before we talk to them. Sometimes you have to liaise with the university that what do you want, which rotation do you need, and then they give us the feedback. So thank you very much. I want to say this. Thank you very much for all your support to Kolebu Teaching Hospital. And somebody will say, how many are we? We have currently we have 26 dietitians and 24 nutritionists. It used to be 56 or 50, and now 16 people have left us. So we now have 24 dietitians. If you add me, 25, 24. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Auntie Julie. I mean, this is very useful, and I think that these are some of the guidance. These are some of the information we need, from you as members, especially for those of you who are in the practice, who are on the field, to guide us. So, for instance, when I was mentioning the Ghana Health Service, Ministry of Health, and all those things. I mean, thank you very much for correcting me. And these are some of the information we would really love to hear from you, to guide us to be able to do the right thing. What I also meant by working with the training institutions and the facilities to be able to streamline the practice. I mean, I believe that there's so many ways we can go about this. And of course, talking is one of them. Encouraging and looking at what is best practices. So we hope that, for instance, through some of our CPD, some of our workshops, we would have experts, and we would have, resource persons from chief dietitians like yourself, with so many years of experience in the field, to contribute, to how we think we can make things. We can make things better, and I'm very sure that suggestions from some of you, for instance, can actually guide us all, as we have these workshops and interactions to be able to streamline our things. And this is not something we are hoping to achieve just in Nimenia. We are hoping that with time, we'll be able to harmonize all these things as it is done elsewhere. I mean, elsewhere, it's working. And we are hoping that we could follow similar models so that we can have a unifying voice in terms of practice, across the country. So thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hayford. And to Judy, thank you also. It's good to hear from you. I see Maxwell. Kindly unmute and speak to us. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Dr. Hayford, thank you so much for the presentation and sharing of the insights. I think one of the common themes that keeps coming up in our meetings has to do with creation of jobs. And I think that it's something that management should look at it. I know that there have been a lot of efforts, but we need to do more in terms of giving hope to our graduates who are still in the house. One of the critical areas I'm suggesting we should look at is the hospitality space. If it's possible, management of GAN meet the Ghana Association of Hospitality and Industry Workers to see if there could be an MOU to see how maybe the various, food service businesses, we could have some of our graduates being attached to those areas to set up what we call the Special Diets Health Park, or whatever name we intend to call it, to solve the increasing non-communicable disease. I think it will be of help. A few of us have tried that in that space. I know Aldi has done a similar thing. One of the projects I did, which I was also very proud of, has to do with the Taste Retreat project, which I embarked on. But one of the lessons I learned was that, when the people do not understand what you are doing, sometimes it becomes very difficult. It got to a point the woman was thinking more of profit than the health of the people. And so at that point, when COVID came and the money was not coming, she had to close down the project. It is now that I'm currently looking at how to scale it up in other bigger hotels like Movenpick, Piski, and all that. I think these kind of hotels can pay even better than the hospital. Then the school feeding program. If we have every dietitian attached to a secondary school, we are creating a lot of jobs already. So I think that through lobbying and advocacy, we should be able to get government to release dietitians into all the schools to be able to look at that. Then the security agencies. I know that heads of the security agencies, before forms comes out, GAN can take a further step, go ahead and have a meeting with them to find out how we can collaborate, so that they get to know that when it comes to this group of professionals, these are the people who are qualified. Because sometimes if we don't keep knocking on their doors, they tend to even forget about us. And the slots that will be given may be very less, and that will not help. Then this, I'm ending with some questions. The 6-year program against the specialist programs, is it going concurrently, or we are doing the specialties first before we do the 6-year program? Because from our last discussion, we've been talking more about the specialties instead of the 6-year program. I know there have been some moves by some allied health professionals to go 6 years and become doctors. MedLab has done that already. Radiography, physiotherapy, I know they are working towards that. And I would wish that we do that concurrently so that we create value for ourselves, because our health system just seems to recognize titles, it gives you more leverage just rather than the 4-year course. So I think that I want to know what is the situation of that. And then one thing that concerns me is whether the Federation of Allied Health Professionals are still working. Because anytime I hear the MedLab speak, they always talk about Medical Laboratory Scientists Association. And so I'm asking myself, what happens to the Federation of Allied Health Professionals? Is it that they've separated themselves from that federation? And what is the likely impact of that separation? How do we realign ourselves so that we can have that bargaining power? Okay, so I want to know the situation of that, and then whether the department that are training dietetics currently are in talks to modify their curriculum to fit the industry purpose. Because now we have a lot of, other industries that dietitians could fit, but because of our training, sometimes they look at your courses and they see that there's very little in terms of industry. So I want to know if that discussion has been initiated. If it is not, it's one of the things we need to look at, because government would always be able to employ, and if it would get to a point if someone has to do that test, this question cannot answer. And question you cannot answer. These are some what the government for best and we'll do to fundraising that because we keep saying every year only see the actions being led to, and it's a bit slow, and I understand because we are still building, but I think that at this point we need to start moving and make this profession great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hardy Maxwell. I like the passion. I like the energy we are all bringing on board. Like I said in the beginning, to make it to get together, we'll make this profession great. So thank you for your submissions. Secretary is taking notes. Yeah, we'll see how we can make possible all the suggestions that will come from this meeting. Thank you. Please don't be a spectator. Also add your voice so that together we see how we can move forward with our profession. There is space, there's so much space for our profession. And yeah, with the changing the way the landscape is changing with even diseases that are coming up, there's so much that we can do. So hopefully the ideas that we bring together can make up something meaningful for all of us.
Bill,
Prof,
I think
Prof, kindly, Prof Matilda she wants to speak. Kindly unmute and go ahead, Prof.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. And thanks to all the presenters for the information you've given unto us. I just want to comment on some of the issues raised by Maxwell, just to give some updates. So I think he mentioned about the 6-year program. And I just want to say that for now, GTech has suspended that program. There was a letter that was sent to all universities that running first undergraduate programs for 6 years, GTech has suspended that. So I know that MedLab had already started that program, and I know they were going to negotiate or we're going to have discussions with GTech about that. I don't know where they are as at now. But for now, it's on hold. So all the other new programs that wanted to do the 6-year, it's on hold. We can't go there. So probably we have to think more about the specialization rather than the 6-year, that doctor program that we were all looking at. Then also, I think he also raised an issue about us looking at the curriculum so that some of the dietitians can fit into food industry. It's a good idea, but I just want to say that if we don't take care, we would not have any focus in our curriculum. For somebody who wants to work in food industry, if there are any gaps, what I always tell the students is that right in school, as you get to know about the various specializations and you identify where your interest is, look out for programs. Now, fortunately for us, we are having several webinars. I just saw recently, I think there was one that was posted by our president on food processing. So let's try, maybe GAN can help our students look out for some short courses, some MSCs, 1 year MSc, so that if you identify where you are interested in, right after school, you don't even waste much time. You quickly go and get more knowledge and more skills there. And that would really help. But if we want to adjust the program in such that it will, because we're already trying to train our people to be able to work in public health areas, if we also try to bring in food industry, we may not have a program that would really help us. We can't do all. Let's remember that for us, the clinical component takes a lot of our credit hours. And it's also one of the criteria or requirements that we have to meet for us to graduate. That is a challenge we have with. So let's look at that. If you take nutritionists, yes, nutritionists now also are trying to update their program so that some of them can work in clinical areas. But if you look at their curriculum, they've introduced 1 or 2 areas, I think diet and disease and some other areas, so that they will have some knowledge about the work of the dietitian. But they are not going too much into, because there are several things that we dietitians do that they don't go there. They focus on an area. So I would just advise that we should be careful. We are together as a group, but then let's have our focus. We may have a little bit of knowledge in some areas, but if we really want to move into industry, do some more courses. If you want to move into food service, I always tell them, top up right after that. There are some courses that you can do. Go top up. For those of us who are members of international groups, the groups have so many specialist groups. Join them, and then you learn and learn and learn about that. So that's my contribution to all of us. And even for those who are already practicing, we can still also try and do some more short courses and skills so that we also become specialists in some of these areas. So that's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Prof. Matilda, for your submissions made. I think it's quite clear. Please give me a moment. We have quite a number of submissions that have come in the chat. I'd like to read them out. So we go ahead. Somebody says, okay. Auntie Juliana says, I love these suggestions from Maxwell. There should be dietitians in every institution. Example, the school feeding programs, the military, the prison services, customs, immigration, police, and orphanages, and the sports council as well. Thank you, Auntie Julie. The food industry should have a dietitian, same from Auntie Julie. Habiba says, great submission, R.D. Maxwell. And then Prof. Paul said, bravo, Dr. Hayford. Wonderful delivery and setting the bar a little high. Thank you, Prof. Nana said, great points, Maxwell. I think there is a challenge with assimilation of the 6-year MedLab graduates as well. It's still unclear where they should be placed by employers. I support Professor Santis' call to perhaps focus on specialization for now. So thank you, Ardinana. R.D. Percival said, wonderful points, Maxwell. We also need to remember that these lobbying and advocacy efforts require money to fuel the rounds. Okay. Maxwell, R.D. Maxwell, thanks, Prof. Asante, for those valuable inputs. Okay, thank you. R.D. said, dietetics is just a BSc. It's not the end of our career. We can move to all other fields such as food science, industry, and even health law. Let's not make the dietetics seem as though it's the end of the journey. Yeah, certainly. Certainly. I noticed you skipped my suggestion. Sorry, it's not intentional. I'm trying to um get to everybody's comments. I'm not going to skip yours. It's not intentional. I will try and read everybody's comments. Thank you. So if you have any comments or any suggestions, kindly raise your hand. We'll ask you to unmute and then you go ahead. R.D. Percival, your hand is up. Kindly go ahead.
Yes, so good evening, dietetics group of Gand. I was promising myself that I would just be in the chat, but I want to just respond to a comment or two. I actually appreciate Prof. Asante for her insights. It's very important. Just to rebuttress that the GTEC has given some guidance on the CCR program. And so that puts a cog in the machine sort of for that program for now. But the conversation around specialization, we may have to look at that again and look at it carefully. In the Ghanaian context, specializations and, as it were, specialists and consultants are presently trained with colleges or postgraduate colleges of health. So examples are the College of Physicians and Surgeons for the medical doctors and dentists and surgeons, the College of Nursing and Midwifery for nurses and midwives. We have a College of Pharmacy, and then I understand that there are other colleges across. What has happened is that we were at the verge of getting the government of the day at the time to get us or to pass the law to institute the College of Allied Health, which would now be the platform on which we would be able to produce specialist programs and consult fellowship programs, if you like, which will be what we will call consultants, specialists and consultants. So in focusing for the specialization, I just want to provide information that in the Ghanaian context, there is that dimension of a specialist, a postgraduate specialist college, training college, which we do not yet have for allied health or for nutrition and dietetics. But must we wait for the college to be the law to be passed before we start making preparations for it? I think no. I think that that's why I like the suggestion for the special interest groups. Maybe we should have a more dedicated conversation about that so that we can expand the scope and clarify these special interest groups so that we, from the get-go, we know that we are growing them to become divisions of our college, or if you like, programs in our division of the college. Now there are two things. We can decide to do that as a solo or Gand thing, which will mean that we are going to have to raise the funding to start the college and run it. Or we can decide to to wait and go along with the allied health group, in which case we are going to become a division. What we tried to do the last administration was secure, and I'm happy that we did that, was secure dietetics as a standalone division, rather than have it between public health and other programs. So documents College of Allied Health, we do have a division of nutrition and dietetics in the works. What I'm going to suggest to the current GB is that we should, in the immediate terms, put together a team that would structure the different programs which we would like to run. And as we are doing that, we identify the key faculty who will be the foundation faculty that will be required to start these specialist programs. And so I'm just providing information that Ghana, we've come very far in that there are, from the grapevine, there are indications that the current government is favorably considering approving or putting the law in place to set up that college, which is similar to the College of Physicians and Surgeons and the College of Nurses and Midwifery. So we are actually well ahead in time. What the medical laboratory scientists have done in anticipation of the Ghana College was to start a regional college, which is what they call the West African College of Medical Laboratory Science in Nigeria. And so it's for the West African sub-region. And then they now have a Ghana chapter. So now we have Ghanaian medical laboratory scientists who are fellows of the West African College of Medical Laboratory Science. And then there are those who form the Ghana chapter of the West African College of Medical Laboratory Science. So in effect, that is the way they went around the legal requirement to have a legal framework in place to set up a college in Ghana. So the lab have done that. Then there was a comment about, I think somebody asked a question regarding whether the lab is going alone or they are going with us, with the Allied Health. So what the lab have done, I'm going to use the word proactive because I think that is a forward-thinking step, was to secure an independent bargaining certificate by creating what they call the Medical Laboratory Workers Union. So it's a union, which is a standalone union, just like the other health groups, like the nurses and the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwifery Association and the Ghana Medical Association. So the Medical Laboratory Science managed to secure a bargaining certificate. And so they are independent union out of the Allied Health Group. And so with that, they actually have the capacity now, which Gand has not yet secured, and which many Allied Health Groups have not yet secured, to bargain their own salaries with the government of Ghana. And that is the step that leads to placing the doctor of med lab scientists on the single spine. And it's a process. So I think it is Nana who has it in the comments that there's a challenge. There is actually not it's actually not a challenge in the sense of it, because they anticipated that they will need to have a critical mass of medical laboratory scientists who are DMLS holders to be able to make a case for their training to be recognized on the single spine ahead of the Allied Health Group, which is usually tied at the same entry point. So all Allied Health is tied at around, I have to double check, I think it's about 18 low, but 18L. But then with the doctor of medical laboratory science, their goal is to get it promoted to a notch higher, to around 20, 21 thereabout. But then that is the goal. So it's part of their approach to getting the doctor of medical laboratory scientists recognized in the single spine. So yes, there is a stalemate, of course, because working with government when there is a cash financial crunch and all that is difficult. But then I get from the grapevine that there is some positive look in those directions. So I'm just going to highlight the three things I've said. Number one, we need a college, a postgraduate college to run our specialist programs. But in the meantime, we have to design the programs that we want to run in the college when the college is ready. And there are two ways to do that. Either we go with the state, or we design an approach that will go beyond the state and become a private entity. But then when the state is ready, we are already running and we can just synchronize the two. And then number two, that we need if we really want to make our profession relevant in the government of Ghana single spine structure, we will need to have our own independent bargaining certificate. And that is what the Med Lab Science have done. And that is where we are. That's just to give updates. Sorry for speaking for so long. Thank you, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, R.D. Percival, for the insight shared with us. Please give me a moment. I skipped one of the comments that was shared earlier from R.D. Justice. Justice, please pardon me. It wasn't intentional. I have been trying to be able to see everybody's comments and read it out. So apologies. He says that thank you very much for the presentation. I have a few questions and suggestions. Firstly, is it possible for Gand to provide supportive supervision to dietitians across various healthcare facilities? I believe such supervision would help assess current practices, identify gaps, and ensure that dietitians are meeting professional standards. Learning from those who are already demonstrating best practices could unify our approach, strengthen teamwork, and enhance the competences of our colleagues to better meet the demands of our roles. Additionally, I would like to ask if there is a structured process in place for developing national guidelines to support dietetic practice in Ghana. Lastly, he said that, in my opinion, the first step should be supportive supervision at the hospital level. This would allow Ghan to observe firsthand what is happening on the ground, identify areas of improvement, and guide the correction of inappropriate and outdated practices. Thank you very, very much, R.D. Justice. Your points are all well noted. Thank you. Kindly keep it coming. Kindly keep the submissions, the suggestions, the questions coming. This is a home affair. It's a family affair today, and we are doing all of this to help shape our practice to get it better. So don't keep your ideas in your head. You can put it in the chat box. I'll read it on your behalf. Joseph and I will read it on your behalf, or you raise your hand, your mute and speak. Thank you. Please, is there any hand up that we haven't been able to spot? Please alert me. I give you the go ahead to speak. There is silence in the room. I guess we've been given a lot of things to think about. All right. I just want to check whether there is any more comments that we have in the chat box. Okay. Okay. Okay, so Eric is saying that can we get a response to Justice's question? Right. Yes, I think it's fair we get a reaction from some. Dr. Hayford, please, do you want to take a bite on this, or Mr. President? Justice is asking whether we have a system in place for guidelines on dietetics practice in Ghana.
Can you hear me, Phil?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Loud and clear.
Aria Megachi, I think that your suggestions are fantastic. So first of all, concerning the hospital supervision, I'm not sure if currently as it is, Gand, we do have that power to be able to do that. But it will be really good to know if through the Allied Health Professions Council, for instance, that can be done. This is really a very fantastic idea that I think that we would explore how feasible it is to do that, because that really we would really collect very fantastic feedback from that if we are really able to implement that. So thank you so much for your suggestion. And then in terms of the guideline, I think I would defer this to the president, who happened to also be part of the previous GB. I don't know if there was a structured guideline I mean, there was something like that in the pipeline. So maybe I would defer it to the president to respond to that. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think I indicated when I spoke earlier that there are a lot of guideline documents we need to develop aside from the one or two we have done so far. So SOPP, SOP, standard of practice, standard of operation, and I think there's a third document we need to develop. So there's no guidelines now. What we have is the individualized hospital guidelines they use. So as part of the broader standardization drive we are talking about, all of them would come to play. So there will be a guideline for all practitioners, but they are documents that are painstakingly made, and that is part of the bouquet of things to do with the standardization agenda. Thank you very much. Over.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think the chair of practice and standards has a comment for us. He said, please, I want to encourage all of us to make ourselves available when called upon to contribute to the development of practice guidelines. We'll be calling on some of us to help in that regard. Thanks. Thank you, Dr. Collins. R.D. Maxwell says the ultimate supervisory mandated by law is the Allied Health Professions Council Board. Okay, so I guess that has been answered, but like President said, would explore whether there can be a collaboration between Gand and the Allied Health Council to help in that role going forward. Okay. Please, we are gradually going to be wrapping up soon. So if you have anything to share with us, any comments, any question, please go ahead, unmute yourself and share with us. We don't want to take too much of your time. Please, should we assume that our silence means we are okay and we don't have any more further questions?
As it is, it seems so.
Okay. Okay. So I would like to, on behalf of GB and my co-moderator, say a very big thank you. And also, most importantly, our dietetics chair for making time, for making yourselves available for this evening's session. Before we wrap up, Secretary would outline to us what the next steps would be, and then we say a short closing prayer and call it a day. I think that on the WhatsApp page, if anything comes up that you were unable to speak about now, you have the floor to share it on the platform so that we all deliberate over it. Like I said earlier on, please don't keep your ideas to yourself. Together, we'll make dietetics practice greater and better if we all contribute to making it what we foresee it to be. So, Joseph, please, over to you. Can you tell us what's going to happen next after now? Joseph, please, are you there? Okay. Yes, Joseph. Mr. Secretary, please, are you here with us? Okay. Dr. Hayford, please, any last words for us?
Yes,
You are
so
the father of
yeah,
that group.
yeah, so thank you very, very much, Madam Moderator. And I would also like to add to your voice by thanking my colleagues, constituents for showing up and then contributing, very wonderful ideas, suggesting some fantastic ideas, which we will take on board. So on this note, I would say enjoy the rest of the week, and you would be hearing from me and my team when we reach out to you. Kindly or please respond positively. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hayford. Thank you for all the behind the scenes work you are doing. Thank you to all GB members, past and present GB members, for all the work you are doing to help shape dietetics practice and to help put us on the world-class map. I would like to also thank all members, professors, doctors, heads of departments, for making time to be part of this call. I would encourage that let's not end the conversation here. Let us keep engaging on our platforms so that together we can create the best of dietetics practice in the world. At this point, I would like to call on Julius. Julius, kindly pray with us whilst we bring our meeting to a close. And thank you all GB members who made time to also join the call. We appreciate your presence. I am trying to see when, okay, Prof is with us, Prof Paul is with us, President, Dr. Collins, Julius. Thank you all so much. Auntie Ruby is also on the call. RD Wise, everyone, we see you. Thank you. Thank you so much for making time. Thank you. After the prayer, please don't be in a haste to leave. Let's take a group photo. Yeah, before we end the call. Thank you.
Shall we pray? Father Lord, we thank you for this opportunity to gather and share ideas as a family. Jehovah Almighty, we believe that when we do what is in our power, you, Jehovah Almighty, will come in and do what is beyond our imagination for us. Therefore, we pray for more strength, we pray for guidance. We pray that in all things, be with us, protect us, and always ensure that we see ourselves to the destination that you want us to be. In Jesus' name, we pray for thanksgiving. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Please, can you show us your face as we take a group photograph together? It's been long we saw each other, so if you don't mind, please turn